Hey guys. Hey guys, just give me a second, okay? I know I'm quiet. Just give me a second. I need to talk. I know. What is this? Sorry guys. A little late to the draw. Okay. Let's talk about outdoor safety. So important. So very, very, very important. Know what to do, what not to do. So, let's talk about outdoor safety. We're going to start off talking about animals. Or actually no, let's talk about plants. Let's talk whoops. That's not what I wanted. Let's talk about plants first before we get into animals. If you are in your yard and you see berries growing on a plant and they're bright bluish purple, they look really, really good. But you don't know what they are. It is not a good idea just to eat them because you could get very, very ill from those berries. Point in question, these berries. They look really, really good. I mean, really, really good. Don't they, Carol? Don't these look really, really good? But eating them would be a mistake. And I will tell you why. Those are pokeberries. Okay? They are poisonous. Very, very poisonous. So let's just look at something really quick. Because I did not do my research beforehand. True, you don't know them. And that is the problem. You don't know them. There are lots of blue berries, but just because a plant is blue or a berry is blue doesn't mean it's edible. Those are pokeberries, and so yes, that's exactly the same thing, but at a different stage in the plant's growth. So eating several berries is going to cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, pain. It's also going to cause, or could cause, or will cause serious gastrointestinal problems. Can occur such as bloody vomiting, bloody diarrhea, and low blood pressure. They look very different from grapes, but they grow in a cluster, hanging down, just like that, off the plant. A child that eats one or two may or may not have an issue. I don't want to say that because I don't want to have you come back and say, well, you said this. Not going to do that. It's best just to not teach your kids, your grandkids, whoever they are, not to eat anything unless they are with you, because yeah. Mushrooms drive me nuts. There are mushrooms who you can eat them. 2 hours later, you're sick. Maybe 30 minutes, you're sick. If you don't, bottom line, if you don't know what something is, don't mess with it. Leave it alone. If you feel like having a mushroom in your salad or on your burger, go to the store, buy them. Why? Because I don't know enough to tell you if one is edible or not. You may not know what's edible or not, so leave them alone. Pretty simple stuff. A lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about tonight, honestly, is pretty straightforward stuff. So the next thing, I want to start talking about snakes, because everybody seems to question snakes. This is a fake coral snake. It is definitely not alive. I would not be doing this. Coral snakes are an elapid, meaning that they are related to cobras and some other really poisonous snakes. Really easy to tell apart, the little thing that we say, the little rhyme that we say about coral snakes definitely might help you. The problem is nature doesn't play by the rules, and there are such things as melanistic coral snakes, where the coral snake might look black. And if it looks black, how do you know if it's dangerous or not? You don't. These guys may or may not bite. A lot of times, they just want to be left alone. So you, as a person, should respect that. The problem is these guys like to be in like the dirt. They like to be doing their thing. Problem is gardeners like to be out in their gardens. These snakes like to be in the dirt, moving around, and you put your hands in the wrong place and you could get bit. This is not a snake that we see a lot of bites from, and so anti-venom, you take your chances. If you see a snake, even if it's not this snake, my golden rule is if you don't know what it is, you should not be messing with it. That means that even if it's dead, laying on the side of the road, not a good enough excuse to pick it up. If you don't know what it is, don't touch it because you could get bit. Now, up here where I live, we have one venomous snake. That is the Massasauga rattlesnake. They are rare, so you're probably not going to see one in your entire life. I've seen two, and they were both in a nature center. But in other places, they do have bigger rattlesnakes. Given space, they're hopefully going to rattle. Moxkins not up here. Moxkins may be further south, but not up here. Now, that being said, there are water snakes. And water snakes are a different animal. They in themselves are not venomous. However, some of them have an anticoagulant in the bite. So if you get bit by them, they may bleed. We also do not have copperheads up here. Many people will say, well, I had this brown snake and it has a pattern. Up here, it's probably a DK's brown snake. I have never ran into a water moccasin, and animals don't always know the maps. So let me just say this. If I'm out and I'm in a place where I know that it's wet, whether it be a water, a lake or a river, and I see a snake up on the bank and it opens up its mouth and it's white inside, I know to back up, leave it alone, walk away from it, whatever I need to do, because then I know I have a cottonmouth. A water moccasin will always display that white mouth. That's their warning. Another thing I want to talk about is pet snakes. And I'm going to do it like this because, yeah. This is a really common thing that you'll see people with snakes do. They will put their snake up around their neck. That's a really, really not smart thing to do. Because, and you might be okay. I mean, I've done it with garter snakes. Garter snakes aren't constrictors. A snake could potentially tighten up on the neck. That cuts off circulation to that cuts off oxygen supply to the brain, and you could go boop. The snake may not eat you, but you get the idea. Another animal, yeah, they can bite your neck, but if it's a pet snake, chances are probably not. But anyway, I want to talk about deer. Up here where I live, we have white-tailed deer. And chances are most of us live in an area where you're probably not going to run into these unless you're in a car. Know that there's a general rule between in the morning and towards evening as the sun begins to set. That's when deer are most active. So daylight, as the sun is starting to come up, and then towards evening, that's when these animals become most active. So if you're in an area where they have the signs that say deer crossing, be aware that you could have deer coming into your area. Also, if you're out hiking and you come across the deer generally don't attack with their antlers. Okay? They're going to attack with their feet. Give them space. That's going to keep you safe, is giving them space. Any questions so far? Okay. Next up, we have an animal that I'm going to talk about because I see this all the time. I'm going to use my phone for a second. Maybe. Rules for approaching wildlife in Yellowstone. Okay.
According to National Park Service, always stay at least 100 yards away from bears and wolves.
So, if I'm in Yellowstone and I see a buffalo, okay, you are required to be at least 25 yards away from this animal. And if you think a buffalo in the zoo is big, these guys are really, really big. The one that we saw up close and we were inside the car or inside the minivan, at the shoulder, reached the top of the minivan. Not even joking. So this is a big animal. This is not an animal to play with. Getting any closer than 25 feet or 25 yards puts you possibly if I were to get too close, he could decide, hey, I don't like you here. You're not moving. Bump. And I have seen people get trampled. I have seen dogs go flying. No joke. When they say 25 yards, stay 25 yards away. Getting up close to one for a photo opportunity is just stupid. There. I said it. Haha. Next. I want to talk about something that we don't have up in my area. Typically, I want to talk about alligators and crocodiles. These animals can legit hide in just 3 feet of water and be totally gone. So, if you live in Florida or places where they have alligators, assume that any body of water has an alligator. If you live down in southern Florida, in the range of crocodiles, same thing. Assume bodies of water just have them. Don't get too close to the edge of the river or lake because they could be hiding there and might be hungry and they could grab you or your animal. I've seen that too. Well, if they're in your pool, a little bit different water situation, you're going to see them. So you should know if they're in your pool. But yeah, so again, distance. That they probably, except for during the egg-laying season, they may not mess with you too much. But animals that are fed lose their fear of people. Let's talk about this animal, the coyote. Again, this is an animal that almost every major city has. And yes, they're here where I live. They may look like a German Shepherd. Okay? But they're not. Streets of Chicago, streets of Gary, streets of Lake Station, or wherever you are, they're there. These guys are expert survivors. They've been doing it for years and years and years. They can breed with domestic dogs. They may feed on your cats, on your small dogs. They will eat animal food if it's left outside. They can potentially carry rabies. Very good reason to get your animals immunized if you're able to. Again, distance, because they can potentially attack. Just FYI. Next, we're going to talk about spiders. Everybody's favorite creepy thing. These guys, this is a jumping spider. I always tell people if they ask me, can an animal bite? Yeah. If an animal has teeth, it can bite you. Spiders, even like this guy, are all venomous. It's a really sort of crazy thing. But they are all venomous. They may not, the poison may not, the venom, if it gets into the bloodstream, may or may not affect you, but they are all venomous. They all use their venom to kill. Now, there is a tarantula, a spider that actually is more, he breaks the rules, but we're not talking about that. Jumping spiders see really well. Even animals like the black widow and the brown recluse, if there's a brown recluse and it's in your house, you can get them into a container safely and get them outside. Without too much of an issue. Where people have issues is when the animal, you take your shirt off, you take your shirt out of the closet, and unknown to you, or out of the clothes basket, and unknown to you, the spider is in your shirt. And you move the wrong way, or you move your arm the wrong way, and it puts pressure on that spider. That spider bites out of defense. Another way people will sometimes get into trouble with spiders is when they go to bed at night. Sorry. You need to check your bed sheets before you go to bed at night. Most people, not an issue. Don't freak out. Okay? Can they see people being so small? Some, like the jumping spiders, yes, most definitely they can see. Jumping spiders have some of the best vision in the spider world. They can even see in color. So definitely. Another thing that gets people in trouble, especially with the widows, is they have their lawn furniture, and the widow will make their web underneath the seat, and you drop something and you're feeling around, and in the meantime you're pushing up against the web, causing vibration. The widow thinks it has food, and it comes over and bites you. Yeah, not the best situation in the world, but again, yeah. Another thing that I see people doing that they shouldn't do is picking up animals. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Yeah, just leave them alone. Jumping spiders probably aren't going to mess with you. You're probably safe to hold them. But again, why? Also, if you're one of these people that say you're out at the pool, at your house, or wherever, or you have dirty shoes and you don't want to bring them into the house, so you let them sit outside, even if it's just for an hour, check your shoes before you put them on again. Even if you have to get a flashlight to look in. Because snakes, because scorpions, because spiders will get into your shoes and you may not know that they're there. And you put your shoe on and you get bit or stung. So, best just to check your shoes. If you want to check them, even if you're inside, that is something that you can consider. Especially if you live in places where you have scorpions, that's a good idea. Next, and yes, I'm going to pull these out. Porcupines. Yes, I'm going to talk about porcupines. Our porcupines have real tiny microscopic barbs at the tip, at the pointy end. That is to make sure that they don't come out. If your dog or you do not choose to ignore the warnings from a porcupine and they come at you and you get stuck, they don't come out really easy. So what do? Take a pair of scissors and cut the top of the quill. That will allow you to pull them out. Now, the problem is your dog or your cat, whatever, may not want to be messed with at that point. And I get that. But that's from the experts. Next, let's talk about the animal that this comes from. This is a raccoon skull. Raccoons look really, really cute. Not gonna lie. They're like little garbage can monkeys. Or, yeah. Really cute little things. They will bite. They can carry rabies. And they also carry a parasite that is dangerous to people. And as a person, you have no way of knowing if that animal carries that parasite or not. So, again, they're cute. It might be okay to feed them. It may not be. Leave them alone. Skunks. Yes, we have skunks in our area. Lots of areas have them. A skunk is going to warn you because they don't want to waste. Hello, new person. They don't want to waste their spray. A lot of times they will stomp their feet. They may go up into a headstand. That tail may go up. Those are warnings that you're about to get sprayed. If you get that stuff in your eyes, it's going to burn. Keep your distance. Skunks will go into your yards and they will dig out grubs. You know, those white things that if you dig into your yard, you might find them. They're sort of yucky looking white things. Skunks will eat that. Flat out. They're going to eat that. They may be stinky and they may be smelly and they may carry rabies. But in the long run, better to live with them and know that, keep your distance, keep your animals at a distance, and you're going to be okay. I want to talk about bears. I'm using my spirit bear. There are different rules for bears. In Yellowstone, they recommend staying 100 meters. If you're out of the United States, that's 91 meters. 100 yards to 91 meters. Bears and wolves, well, bears may be more of a problem in Yellowstone than wolves, but if it's a predator, they recommend 100 yards. It's a good idea if you live in an area that has predators, and predators can mean different things. It can mean cougars or mountain lions, coyotes or wolves. Okay? 100 yards. Now, here's the problem. They don't know that they're supposed to stay 100 yards away. If they do approach, make yourself known. Talk to them. But if I see this, I don't have a person. If this is me, okay, and this is the predator, I don't want to turn around and take off. That is the wrong thing to do. You want to face them, talk to them, raise your hands up, and slowly back away. If you turn your back to them and you take off, that is a prey response. The minute you do that, you are nothing more than a deer. If you are in that situation and you have kids with you, pick your kid up and walk slowly. Picking up that kid actually helps make you look bigger. If you have a backpack on and an animal comes up to you, do not take your backpack off. Leave it on. Different animals do require different handlings of situations. That's fine. Things you can do to keep yourself safe. If you go camping, leave your food in a car. They actually will provide, some places will have boxes that you can put your food in. Use them. If you have perfume and you want to smell pretty while you're outside, no, don't worry about smelling pretty. Don't worry about sweating. Avoid that if you can, because bees and wasps and all types of different animals might be attracted to that smell. Know and carry spray that could actually help save your life. Giving them space, being loud, letting them know that you're there, big bonus, because you don't want to surprise these animals. Also, bring water. Don't drink from a river or a lake. That's just, again, foolish because, yeah. So, really quick, I want to talk about sharks. I know we don't have sharks up here where I live. Potentially, you could run into this guy. This is a bull shark. This is a great white. Great whites will go after fish. But their main prey is going to be marine mammals. Yes, possibly. You want to be aware when you go into the water. If there are seals, same thing like I said with the crocodiles and the alligators. If there's seals, there's a possibility of having great whites, even on the East Coast. Both places. Immature great whites Great whites really don't like people, or so they say. But they are very curious. If a shark does come in close to you and you're in the water, carry a stick in the water. You want to hit around the eyes. If he really comes in close, attack the eyes. But usually, again, if there's warning signs up that there's sharks in the water, don't go in the water. Don't go in the water. Maybe if you're bleeding. Having shiny jewelry in the water, not really a good idea. If the water is cloudy that day, don't go in the water. If there's bait fish, if there's small fish in the water, these guys might be attracted to it. So again, maybe not go in the water. Any questions? Any questions about outdoors? Oh. I do want to talk about this because I forgot. I don't know if I talked about this or not. Let's talk weather. Okay, let's talk about weather. If you are outside, even on a day, maybe like today, where it's cloudy, yes, they will. Bull sharks will most definitely attack people. A great white, a lot of times, they're going to come in, they're going to bite and release. Maybe not every time, but that seems to be the modus operandi. Bull sharks will eat people. And not that a great white won't, but most of the time with a great white, it's a bite and release. No, you're safe to go in Lake Michigan. I wouldn't avoid Lake Michigan just because of a shark. I wouldn't. I'd go in. I'd even go into the ocean. So getting back to lightning, or getting back to weather, on a day like today, if I'm in the water, and you can be in the water even in your pool on a cloudy day, what you want to be aware of, if you hear thunder, that is the time to get out of the water. Because even if that storm is 10 miles away, you could potentially get struck by lightning. So if you hear thunder, but you can't see lightning, the minute you hear thunder, that's when you come in. Because, yeah, you could get electrocuted. Carol, when that other person came in, did you see them enter? Did it say anything? I don't know if it did or not. Also, and that goes for being outside anywhere. Trees, you need to stay away from trees. If you have an older style tub, like our tub is porcelain and it has metal, you don't want to be necessarily, you don't want to necessarily be in your bathtub during a thunderstorm because you could potentially take a shock. Don't stand underneath trees during a lightning storm because lightning tends to hit tall objects first, which means I will always be safe standing next to a tall person during a thunderstorm. Just saying. That was bad. I know. I'm sorry. Just a lot of being safe in nature, like I said, is just common sense. If you wouldn't do it to your pet dog, don't do it to a wild dog. Common sense says you don't go up and play with wildlife. My dad grew up on a farm, and to him, every animal is just a pig or a cow. Just because you can walk up and take pictures with a buffalo doesn't mean you should. Teach your kids not to eat berries. If a kid were to eat each and every one of these berries, it could really make them sick. This plant is so toxic that the juice from it can actually damage chromosomes. This is the same plant that people eat called poke salad. Same plants. By the time it goes red, and you can't really see it, but that stem that these are attached to is red. By the time that plant goes red, it is too late to eat it. Any other questions that I haven't covered that I need to cover? I think I already talked about this, but let's talk about it again. Bats. Do not handle bats. Don't handle wildlife, period. Rabies is a very real thing. You can get it. You can get treated, but there's a point where it goes too far and you can't. If you get a bat in your bedroom, the door's shut, even if you can't find bite marks, you still need to go and get treated for rabies. There, I said it. Truth there. Yeah. I think I've talked about snakes, talked about giving them space. I'm not sure they do that anymore. Where do people get the rabies vaccine? Where is the rabies shot given? In the arm. It's in the arm now. For adults, it's in the shoulder, and for kids, it's in the thigh. I just looked it up. So let's talk about this real quick. Treatment for rabies is a 4 or 5 day thing. It's 4 to 5 shots. You want to get the shots that day. So if you get bit on day 0, that's day 0, go get your shot. That's the first shot. Day 3, you have to go back and get your next shot. Day 7, you get a shot again, and then you wait, and on day 28, you get your last shot. No joke. Be safe. Don't do stupid things. Teach your kids not to eat berries that they don't know what are, that when you're not around. Don't eat mushrooms. Stay away from bears. Don't take pictures with buffalo. Have fun in the outdoors. Don't do stupid things. Any questions? it is okay to ask questions. Talking about asking questions, good segue. Next Tuesday's live is a truth and dare, or truth and dare. No, it's not. No, it's not. It is a Q&A. A Q&A happens when you ask me questions and I answer them. So if you want to attend, that is at noon. Leave your questions in the comments section. They should be on a nature topic, though that's doesn't have to be. They do have to be PG. Yeah, PG. Maybe PG-13, depending upon the question. I get to decide if I answered or not. Anything that is beyond that will not get answered. Know that know that I absolutely 100% care about your questions. Even if you think that those questions might be stupid, ask them anyway, because there is not necessarily a thing as a stupid question, because that's how you learn. That's how I learn. Believe me, I've asked some potentially questions that may not be the best. If you are in this chat and you have not pushed the thumbs up button, do that, because that allows other people to see my handsome face. Carol, is there anything that I need to address? Anything that I didn't cover that I need to cover or recover? See, I know in my head what I need to cover, but sometimes if you have questions, better to get them out now than to not answer them. Or anything I need to go back over. I don't know when this new person came in, so I apologize. Also, take the poll, because that, again, helps me out. New person, it's okay to take part in chat. Please do. Unless maybe you're not from the United States. And that could be a problem, because I know I have people that follow me that are not from the United States. And I only really speak English. So hopefully, if you're from out of the United States, please attend my lives, because maybe, who knows, maybe you understand English and I'm speaking to somebody else. I'm actually going to address another animal, and that is stingrays. Stingrays are basically bottom animals. And they can get in pretty close to shore. How do you avoid them? You're going to go and swish your feet as you're walking. Go like this. It's not 100%, but if it keeps you safe, it keeps you safe. If you have not, it's also not a really good idea to pick them up. If you pick them up this way, they can twist every which way, and they can get you with that barb. And that barb is not to be messed with. It is a danger. Yes. Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes, there are stingrays in the ocean, but there are freshwater stingrays in some locations. Not in the United States, to my knowledge. But yes, there are stingrays in the Amazon and maybe the Orinoco in South America. There is also stingrays in Thailand, I believe. In one of the rivers there, maybe the Mekong. Is that in? I don't know. Anyway, but yes, there are some freshwater stingrays. I have found there are always, when you think you know something, there's always something to counteract. Let's talk real quick. Yeah, you might be right. Let's talk real quick about this. And I think I talked about this in my last video, but we're going to talk about it now because it's outdoorsy. This is a sea urchin test. This is the skeleton. They would have barbs or spines coming off. Those spines, if you step on them, they can break off into the skin, cause all types of nasty infections, and just, be smart. Don't do things that you shouldn't do. Let's talk about bees and wasps, because there are things that we do that maybe we shouldn't do. This is not the type of wasp that you want to have around you. This is a murder hornet or a Asian hornet. We all have been to picnics, and we have all left our drinks out. Wasp and bees like sweet things. They will get into your drinks. And you may or may not be able to see them. If you're gonna have a pop, maybe not use the can. Maybe bring a cup that has a lid on it, or maybe not even that, just have a cup. That way you can see, make sure that there isn't one in there, because you really don't want to take a sting to the throat. Also, remember I talked about perfume? They might be attracted to perfume. There are also certain colors of clothes that will bring them in. So, let's see. Yes, certain flowers. Guys, there is so much information in my head that sometimes I have to look stuff up. Colors you can wear that attract bees. So these are colors that if you wear them, you might attract bees. Orange, yellow, bright blues, and purples will attract bees. There, I said it. Now you know it. So, I'm going to, again, because I can, it is my channel and I can do this. If you aren't aware, I go live every Tuesday and every Friday at 5 p.m. on Fridays and noon on Tuesdays. Hopefully, my plan is to have different topics every day. The next Tuesday at noon, I am doing a Q&A. This is a chance for you to get to know me. It's a chance to have your burning nature question answered. Like, can I really get a worm in my body by walking through my backyard with no socks or shoes on? I'm not going to answer that question because I want you to come to my... Oh, well, jellyfish. I don't know what to say about that, but I will talk about it anyway. The problem with jellyfish is that depending upon where you're at, depends on the severity of the jellyfish. If you're in Australia, I don't know. Does urine work against jellyfish stings? I am going to claim that is false. There is no evidence to suggest that that works. However, you can use vinegar. Vinegar seems to counteract the sting. Using fresh water, rubbing alcohol, urine, ammonia, or ice can actually make it worse. So basically, this is what happens when you get stung by a jellyfish. A jellyfish tentacle, okay? So if this is my tentacle, it'll have little hairs on the tentacle. Each one of those little hairs is a trigger. So if I were to touch that trigger, it sends out a dart. And that dart is like a bee sting. It has a venom sac attached to it, which pumps into venom. If you see, and you may not be able to see them all because there are some real tiny, like almost invisible jellyfish. You know, follow the rules. If they say not to go into water, don't go into water. Fun fact, there is actually a freshwater jellyfish. I've never seen one, but they do exist. And not all jellyfish are necessarily out to get you. But definitely the bigger the jellyfish, potentially the bigger the venom load, venom issue. Just follow the rules when you go to the beach. That's what I'm going to say on that. No. Well, yeah, it is a little bit weird, but, weirder things have worked in the past. Maybe. Person that's here, please give the video a like. That helps me out immensely. That's the little thumbs up icon. Also, let me know where you're from because I'm from the greater Chicago area. That's Northwest Indiana thing. What if you're from Indiana? If you're not, that's okay too because I love all of my followers. And Carol, did I lose you? I just scared everybody. I don't know if I lost you or not. Okay, guys, I have been on for an hour and 7 minutes and 25 seconds. Did I lose you, Carol? I feel like I've been talking my head off. That's why I like getting questions and answers and stuff. Okay, I am going to leave because I need to eat. So I will talk to you later. Love y'all. Remember, I'm going live next Tuesday at noon to do a Q&A. Hope to see you there if you can.